Hello, Pokemon trainers, and welcome back to our fourth and final match of the Victory Road World Cup, once more sponsored by Elgato, GG Tour, and Metafi. I am joined once more by the one, the only Kana. How are you feeling for this final match, Kana?
I'm feeling quite good about it because we have just seen on our side the matchups we are seeing, and there's a very funky Pokemon, a spicy one even from its description, and I can see you chuckling away. You're really enjoying it because Stefan has really pulled out all the different techs here to try and counterpick the meta right now, and I think he's done it very well. He's got a bit of a grudge match between Argentina with some of the matchups last year. Of course, they just took them by a whisker to go through to the next round last season, I believe. So that both players are going to be thinking, we've beat each other before, we've lost to each other before. Let's try and recreate this in the group stage because someone has to lose, and that means that in this stage of the game, someone has to go out of the group stage as well. So we'll be scared to see which one of those happens, but hopefully, of course, as a commentator, I have a bit of a bias towards Stefan, but hopefully both players have fun in this matchup.
Yeah, very exciting to see not just two brilliant players coming to the fray, but two brilliant teams that we know are really close. Last year, there was such a close set for the top 16 for which side advanced to the top 8. And we're once more seeing Argentina versus Switzerland. That's going to be a very exciting match, not just to watch the players, but also to watch the teams facing off. And we're going to see the score so far. It is 1-0 for Argentina. You aren't seeing any Pokemon on the screen because this happened to be an activity win due to a variety of circumstances. So still very much open in terms of like what Pokemon each side is going to bring. This is sort of like the first set that's actually played out rather than being something that happened due to activity. So we're still very early, and every win at the start might matter so much for the like psychological momentum of each side.
Yeah, and that is gonna be something that, again, both teams can be facing. Of course, Switzerland being the underdogs from last season are going to have that story behind them and they're going to have that power behind them. So they're going to want to show, it wasn't a one-off thing. We're going to come through and show you how, Switzerland can do in this game. But Argentina are going to be riding on a little bit of a high from having that, bit of an advantage of the 1-0 lead. So, both teams have that thing to go for. Underdogs versus, the well-known players. The lead against no loss. So, it could be anyone's game and anyone's story, really. So hopefully we see some top tier play, both players trying to either buff their lead even further, or, Stefan trying to drag it back and get it to 1-1. It could be a little bit of a ping pong of 1-1, 1-0, 1-1, 2-1, 2-2, because these teams have shown they've done that before and they can easily go back and forth and do it again because they are both very good at the players they have.
Absolutely. So two very, very close teams. We could see all kinds of ping ponging of neck and neck, back and forth. And I think that every single match is going to matter so much just in terms of the momentum here. Carrying the burden of this important match is two very accomplished players. Stefan Mott, Indianapolis regional champion this year, a lot of top 8s or top 32s at a variety of tournaments. And Juan Salerno, a number of a top 4 at an international championship, a huge deal. An Oceania international champion in the seniors division, a whole lot of incredibly promising accomplishments. And so exciting to see these two veterans of the field really facing off, and interested to see what teams they bring.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. Juan coming into the Master Division quite recently and having a very big surge. Of course, had that little bit of anonymity coming in from seniors because, yes, he was on the big screen, but, he didn't have that 100%, visibility rate, whereas Stefan jumping straight into Masters and with those finishes, it's going to have that bit of a visibility. So both of them, going to be fighting for information. Juan has that information game advantage. Stefan, has to dig a little bit deeper, go through maybe some Spanish or Latam records to find out teams. So, it is going to be a bit of a mental game as well, as both of them have a lot of accomplishments riding on them, friendships riding on them, so many things that could affect VGC beyond just, the Pokemon that we love and care for and battle with.
Absolutely. We also are going to finally see Stefan bringing once more a unique Pokemon to this team tournament. We're going to see this Turtonator along with a Calyrex Ice and a Palkia and the standard supporting cast of Amoonguss and Tapu Fini and Porygon 2. facing off against a team that should look very familiar. If you just saw the last match, it's the same Pokemon. We've got this Kyogre, Zacian, Kartana, Tornadus, Amoonguss, and Landorus facing off. So once more, sort of like the Palkia Trick Room versus the Kyogre Tailwind. Interested to see sort of how these play out, and of course interested to see the role that Turtonator might play in the match.
Yeah, Turtonator is one of those Pokemon where we don't expect to see it. It came out in Alola region and didn't do too much. It had some appearances in the TCG, but that is as a different level of play from us, and is quite recently over the restricted formats. It has been showing what it can do. It has access to Body Press and Iron Defense, so once it starts going, it can take those Fairy type moves and Steel type moves really well from Zacian. But in this format, it might be a bit more wishy-washy because it is going to be scared of those Kyogres, because you're actually having to plan for a possible 2 restrictors in this format. And then the rest of the Pokemon on that team, it can take those quite well. Landorus, a bit scary for it, but your supporting cast, especially your Galastria, can take that on very well. And then, everything else has its own little matchup to pickpocket in. So Stefan possibly did his research into the top teams of the meta and thought, this is what is possibly going to come. This is what I'm going to bring. As we see a double restricted lead coming out from Juan, something we saw in the last match where this team came. And we see Palkia plus Amoonguss, so the instant threat of the Trick Room plus redirection coming out straight away. But those redirections aren't going to be anything to what could come from this Kyogre.
Yes, we're going to see Juan bringing out all the offense, both restricteds, into Stefan bringing sort of the positional play of being able to redirect attacks with Amoonguss and being able to set up that Trick Room. We see him just clicking it immediately. Stefan knows what he wants to do. Just set up this Trick Room, make sure Palkia doesn't take too much damage. But Juan going to be able to get a fair amount of damage in return. And interesting to see sort of the start of the plan from Juan is just doing a lot of damage. And I wonder if that's a sign that maybe there's an Amoonguss in the back to be able to sort of handle this Trick Room adaptation that Stefan has, or if this is just a lot of momentum for Stefan.
Yeah, Stefan, is going for a great that call, the Rage Powder Behemoth Blade instead of the Play Rock coming out. So really good call there from Juan. Goes into that Amoonguss. Amoonguss does not like that. It goes down to the red. If we see a possible Ice Beam, it isn't. It is a Water Spout getting round that redirection. Amoonguss goes down straight away, but Palkia is fine and dandy and is going to get his Trick Room up. But at the cost of Amoonguss going down, so no more redirection. But Galastria can come in very freely now and can maybe start doing the shenanigans it likes to do, high horsepowers or max quakes into that Zacian, or maybe just going into that Kyogre, weakening its Water Spouts. Either of them don't want to be taking it very well.
Yeah, so interesting to see sort of both players completely agreeing on how that first turn should play out. One of them wants to get rid of the Amoonguss, so it's not a threat in Trick Room. The other one is okay to lose Amoonguss as long as you get the Trick Room up. And so I'm interested to sort of see how that plays out if Stefan has the ability to use these next 4 turns as well as possible in a setting where there is still a lot of pressure and not too many immediate KOs threatened from Stefan's side of the field. And then there is still that Amoonguss that Juan could bring out in the back to redirect some attacks, or maybe even go for Spore, depending on whether Stefan brought the Tapu Fini or how well it's positioned.
Yeah, we see a Dynamax coming out from Stefan though, and we did see that there was no Dynamax emblem on the move slots for the Calyrex, so it is with the Palkia going big. Palkia has the ability to go for those max Wormwinds into the Kyogre, getting rid of its HP, and also dropping the attack stat of the Zacian, which I believe is a good little trade-off there. Because you can, instead of just leaving the HP on a Kyogre and knocking out Zacian, you're making sure his attacks are gone. But a double protect, meaning any damage is going to be mitigated. That is going to be nothing, because really what Stefan is going for is these max Wormwinds to get the attack drops, which can be very scary once it gets rolling. But it's a max Quake, actually. Sorry, I did miss see the moves being input there, going into the Zacian. So a little special defense boost, which is going to be great for the Calyrex looking down at that Kyogre. But it's not going to be so good for that Zacian, because Zacian has still got its attacking prowess, because Max Wormwind would have stabilized that a little bit.
Stefan needing to sort of make the choice between, do I go for damage on the Zacian and lowering the damage from Kyogre, or the reverse, do I go for damage on Kyogre and lower the damage from Zacian, and clearly choosing Zacian in this first turn. Juan sort of accepting that reduced damage output in exchange for burning a turn of that Dynamax and a turn of that Trick Room. I'm curious to see it seems like Juan's plan is start with a lot of damage, then weather the storm of Trick Room, then do a lot of damage again. And I'm curious to see if that's sort of how things play out, or if Stefan has some ways to really get some KOs and build up the bulk that he needs to be able to win this game.
Yeah, he needs to put up that bulk and just take through the KOs. Glacial Lance coming out, that amazing animation is going to go both these Pokemon, both of them taking a nice chunk, not the biggest chunk, but something still to be a bit scared of. The Max Quake could quite possibly grab the Zacian from here as it does, and that is going to be amazing because something that is threatening the Calyrex is now gone, and Kyogre is going to be doing even less damage because of the 2 special defense boosts, which is going to put a little bit of a dampening on that because it really relies on doing a lot of damage as quick as possible. And we're going to see here it does a nice chunk, but that would have been a lot more about the special defense boosts. It's going to be scary because Calyrex has free reign to just go for its strong attacks and get those boosts when it needs them.
Yeah, Calyrex and Kyogre basically trading damage here, like about a quarter onto each. But we do see that Amoonguss finally able to come in. And sure, this Palkia has taken a KO, it set up a whole lot of bulk, but there's now 2 turns of Trick Room where that Amoonguss has a whole lot of momentum. We know that Stefan has Tapu Fini in the back, and can set up a way to block that Spore. But it's still tough. Like, we see that Stefan is actually going to have to switch out this +2 special defense Palkia that's so well positioned, just because this Spore makes it so much harder to have a clean sweep with Trick Room.
Yeah, Spore is going to make it very scary because of how slow Amoonguss naturally is. And there's no way to set up any terrains to stop that. Maybe Tapu Fini switching in if it is there. Palkia losing its turn at Dynamax though to switch out into what could be that Tapu Fini coming in. Making sure there's terrain to set up, showing that Stefan knows his matchups, and there it is. So it's going to be, the mystery terrain is going to be preventing the Amoonguss from going for a Spore. And that means it's going to be very scary because you don't really set up a Yachi Berry on Amoonguss these days because Calyrex is often put to sleep because you usually have a way around that Tapu Fini. As we see a Misty Sea, no, it wasn't a Misty Sea, that's a Room Service, something you don't see very often as Protect comes out from the Amoonguss, letting it take, another little turn to go around things, maybe predicting this Fini switch in. And the Glastrier is just going to get a nice little chunk. Not a Glacier, sorry, it isn't a Glacier, it's a Calyrex. It's going to get a nice little chunk off there into your Kyogre, meaning it's what's possible to do even less damage, forcing it into a possible Orange Impulse, which does come out, risking the miss, but maybe Juan has been a bit friendly in the Pokemon camp there with his Kyogre, because it's hitting both of them, but not doing much damage because of those boosts, even in the rain.
Yeah, one thing to note, it is crazy that we have to say not much damage from Kyogre, because usually it's just always taking KOs. These resisted Glacial Lances and these boosted special defense water spouts into that Calyrex are still doing a ton of damage that's adding up. And both sides are steadily losing some resources, but we are seeing Juan capitalize on the resource that he still has left, that ability to Dynamax this Kyogre. I'm going to be able to survive another turn, even though it's low hit points, and potentially pick up a KO on this Glastrier.
Yeah, getting a KO on the Calyrex there is going to be very good. We have to see if those special defense boosts are coming in handy. As the Giga Drain comes out, getting a bit of chip onto the Calyrex, knowing I can't put it to sleep, takes it down to possibly a point where it can go through the knockout on the Amoonguss. It misses a Kyogre, gets the attack boost though, as we'll see in a second. I have to see if this Tapu Fini is underspeeding the Kyogre, even with its Room Service. It should be, because this is normally a very speedy set. This Heal Pulse does come out, putting a bit of HP back on to the Calyrex, and it may take this hit even harder and capitalize even more on his attack boost. Max Geyser is going to be a now or never moment for this Kyogre, as it fails to get a knockout, meaning that Calyrex can safely go for whatever move it wants next turn and just eliminate Pokemon as they go, meaning Stefan, is closer to taking the rest of these games.
Yeah, a wonderful way to heal that Calyrex, not Glastrier, and make sure that it still stays in the game. But unfortunately, as we, I believe, have reached or are nearing the end of Trick Room, this Calyrex is now fairly low hit points, and this Tapu Fini does not want to be seeing a Kartana in the back. Even though the Kartana can't Dynamax, it's still a whole lot of pressure, and the Palkia in the back with a lot of hit points, it might still be a tall order for it to be able to finish off this game with just all the threats from the Kartana right now.
Yeah, Kartana can threaten all these Pokemon. It's not doing the most damage into the Palkia, because of its typing, but at the same time, it is a Kartana. That Leaf Blade goes into Tapu Fini, quite nicely gets a knockout, something we have seen since when Kartana came out. Getting rid of those Finis, getting a Beast Boost, reminiscent of the attack boost we did just see from the Calyrex. And it's going to be, a Max Geyser coming out without the rain this time, and with their special defense boost still in play. See if Calyrex might be able to take it. As it doesn't, it fails to take it. Let's see if there's any rolls or anything. It doesn't look like it. With no crit animations coming out. And Calyrex will go down, meaning Palkia is against 2 Pokemon. It isn't the worst matchup into, but it isn't fond of seeing a +1 Kartana at this point in the game.
Absolutely. Such a challenge to be in a situation where you know that the Palkia has the tools to win. It's not on the field right now, and because of Kartana's ability, or it wasn't on the field before, and because of Kartana's ability, it was able to get that boost so that now when Palkia is on the field, we're just going to have to see Stefan lock into forfeit, because this Leaf Blade now is very convincingly threatening that KO.
Yeah, there's Juan playing that perfectly to stall out the Trick Room turns, knowing when to save his Dynamax for, and when to bring in Kartana, revealing in that last minute he has got the moves and the Pokemon options to just knock out these support Pokemon that could come through. Palkia doesn't like seeing it. Tapu Fini really hates seeing it. That as a battle has gone back and forth, like the end of time for those Pokemon. So it is going to be a kind of hard. Of course, Stefan has the knowledge, knowing, okay, he has his Trick Room answers. He does bring a Moongus to the matchup. Can he work around that? He may now knows he's scared of the Tapu Fini, so he has that Giga Drain option, and he can go for the chip damage. So lots of different calculations that we go through the players' heads and trying to work out maybe predictions, maybe not bringing a certain Pokemon, maybe opting to bring a certain Pokemon at a different time. It is just one of those things where it's a speed versus slow matchup, and we saw it last round where it was the slow team won, but maybe we could see a speed team win this team as Kyogre plus Kartana come out straight away and next to the Palkia and Amoonguss again. So of course, the fun thing about Kartana being a grass type, it will ignore the Rage Powder from Amoonguss, so it can get a strong-ish Leaf Blade into that Palkia straight away, meaning that Kyogre can just go for its Water Spouts and maybe an Ice Beam, predicting the Rage Powder again. It can go for any of its moves really, and just call it a day, because it's gonna the pace has been set already, it seems.
Absolutely. So much damage coming out from Juan. Seeing that sort of Kartana plus Kyogre was the way I went last time, maybe that's just better than starting with Zacian at the beginning here. I mean, you can see Stefan thinking a whole lot about what to do. It's a really tough order to try to figure out how to handle this game, considering like a whole lot of different options. And there's no longer this very clear, like, I can play it a Trick Room mode, because that didn't work last time. And so Stefan trying to figure out how to adjust. We do see the Dynamax coming out. I believe that's from one side of the field. Being able to set up the Kartana just to be able to do so much damage here. And definitely a tall order for Stefan to make it through this turn.
Yeah, Stefan is really going to be scared of that, because even though the typings still are the same, that max overgrowth is going to be lots and lots of damage. Unfortunately, there are no moves in Kartana's move pool that can give it things like special defense boosts, or maybe like a dragon move to get that attack drop. So it's a bit scary. But Palkia going big as well is going to kind of balance out that damage roll, and is going to make it the same sort of mind games of I'm taking less damage because of my typing and this, that, and the other. Max Steel Spike though coming out, predicting possibly a protect or a switch in, doing lots of damage to that Amoonguss there, something you don't see very often. That wasn't even a critical hit, it seems. And that means that the defense buffs are going to be happening, so any of the physical attack Pokemon come in the back. It's amazing as the Water Spout goes in, knocks out the Amoonguss. Calyrex can now come in, but Juan has gone forward and has given the information that he is bulkier now, physical side. Kai can take this hit even better. Kartana taking a lot from that Max Wormwind, losing its attack stat that it would have gained from a knockout, but it didn't grab it. So it is now at -1, so has to rely on a possible beast boost in the future to get that back. Kyogre sitting swimmingly there, pardon the pun, just with that attack drop it doesn't really care about.
Absolutely. So a whole lot that Palkia was able to do this turn to set up that Max Roman, but the Kartana is still the fastest thing on the field. Trick Room didn't go up. And sure, maybe you're at -1 attack, but you've got so much threat into this Tapu Fini that Stefan had to send out. And even if Stefan had sent out the Calyrex, that would have been really scary for him as well. And so it's definitely a tall order to try to figure out how Stefan gains momentum, given that the Palkia can do a whole lot of damage, but it can't set Trick Room. And the Tapu Fini can take a lot of damage from the Kyogre, but not the Kartana. So definitely a whole lot for Stefan to think about still in this adjustment of going for the Dynamax right away instead of going for Trick Room. And curious to see how that will work out for him.
Yeah, go for that Dynamax did give him the potential to have those, maybe a possible stat boost or a stat drops. being scared of that Kartana, he was forced maybe to go for those max Wormwinds just to kind of get through things. The Max Quake would have been nice for the Kyogre, but he possibly knows his priorities going into that. If you see a nice little protect coming out from both of our water types, knowing that they're going to be taking the most damage. Kartana, though, with its typing and attack stats, is going to go into that type of thing. It's still going to do a nice chunk, I believe. It does about 10-20% to it, so that is still very nice considering the protect. We have to see what comes out from the Palkia, possibly a Max Wormwind into the Kartana again, just to make sure it's gone. Or maybe it goes for a Max Geyser. It does opt for a Max Quake, though. So going into that protect, most like it doesn't. It goes into the Kartana and grabs the knockout. That steel typing not coming in handy for Kartana once. I mean, a special defense boost on both these Pokemon, which are already taking hits very, very well from Kyogre.
So both sides also setting up some terrain elements that are really useful. Juan being able to set up grassy terrain so that Amoonguss is still a threat later, even though Misty Terrain was set by that Tapu Fini. But definitely that trade working out super well for Stefan. You've got that KO, so we're back to 3-3 here. And you've got the special defense boost so that this Palkia has one more turn of Dynamax where Kyogre really can't hurt it, especially with the special defense boost. And then we've got the potential for it maybe to go for that Trick Room. With Zacian coming in, that's going to be a bit tough for Palkia to figure out how to survive the next few turns. It's got a lot of momentum this turn with the Max Quake, but after that it might be tough for it to be able to set up Trick Room or anything.
Yeah, it's going to be tougher to set up Trick Room the Pokemon that are on the field. Play rough coming from Zacian is something that's really scary, especially when it goes small again. And of course, Tapu Fini, it can possibly take a hit very well from Behemoth Blade. We can see the Palkia live, though, from that Play Rough. Water Spout coming out, it most likely will live that, live on 2 HP. This could be an amazing call to crit on a Tapu Fini, which also lives. The Max Quake coming out, this could get a nice knockout on the Zacian if the rolls are nice enough. If you see it goes in, it gets the knockout, but of course the trade-off will be the Life Orb damage. To see what Tapu Fini goes for, I do believe Stefan was hovering over the Nature's Madness button, which is of course the signature move of the Tapu. And if it hits, it is going to be forcing Juanfi to go for the weaker Water Spouts or the less accurate and more powerful Origin Pulse, which is very scary. If you see the Nature's Madness does hit, so things are going all good for Stefan, and we see the HP go to 50%. A little bit extra though because of the grassy terrain, so the rolls might be a bit iffy. You got work out the exact calculations. Juan maybe knowing them to a T with the HP stats, but Calyrex can come in fairly comfortably now, looking at the matchups on the field.
Such incredibly careful play from Stefan to navigate all of the different damage sources from one side. We saw that it was a little bit overwhelming in that first game, but now Palkia took out both of the steel types that were a problem before, and like having timed that Max Quake so that it survived that turn with the Water Spout and Play Rough was so huge for Stefan to be able to get that KO when he needed it. And sure, this Amoonguss is out and Misty Terrain isn't out, but because Stefan didn't go for the Trick Room game plan and instead got that Nature's Madness off on Kyogre and KO'd the steel types, there's now not that much damage on Calyrex, and Calyrex can actually just outspeed the Amoonguss and do a whole lot of damage here. So some very impressive adjustments from Stefan.
Yeah, Stefan, realizing that, Trick Room is very iffy to go with when both players have the Amoonguss, both players know what the Amoonguss can do. We see the Origin Pulse coming out, just trying to finish off games, much particularly the Tapu Fini. I believe it just missed, I believe. Going for that Heal Pulse into the Calyrex as if nothing happened to it, because Calyrex will get most of its HP up nearly at full. Glacial Lance is going to go into that Kyogre. It did get that defense boost earlier from the Kartana's Max Heal Spike, but this is a Calyrex talking about, and it's going to do a very nice bit of damage. Hopefully enough to maybe go in later on. It isn't the biggest damage, it puts it below 50%, and the Grass Train is going to activate it, put it to about 40-45% by eyeballing it. But Tapu Fini can now just keep going for its heal pulses and go for more Nature's Madness. It is forcing Juan to go for these less accurate moves, which is very, very scary and very, very powerful for Stefan.
Stefan being able to weather the turn where Amoonguss could protect without taking any damage at all, almost. Very impressive.
Yeah, taking no damage there was a really good point of play. The Calyrex avoids the Origin Pulse this time, so not seeing the best hits possible. And Tapu Fini isn't going to take much given its typing and the boosts it had earlier. Calyrex and the Moonblast coming out, going into the Kyogre as well, hopefully fishing for even more bad luck with a special attack drop. We don't see it. Glacial Lance is a spread move that can't miss, we have seen. So this could get knocked out on Kyogre, it could be a sliver. I'll be very intrigued to see what is the outcome because of those defense boosts. as we do see it goes in, it gets the knockout. It is Amoongus versus the world, and Amoongus can put things to sleep because there's no misty terrain, but the cost of what? Because Glastrier is just going to outspeed it.
A very careful play from Stefan there to try to go for that KO. If that hadn't worked and the Origin Pulse had connected on that Calyrex might have been in a lot of trouble this turn if that Amoongus had also gotten the double protect. But because of the way Stefan played it out and getting that KO, that's a really big deal. And now, especially with the miss, this is just like wrapping up that game. And really interesting to see that grassy terrain that Juan had set up trying to account for that Trick Room endgame. Suddenly actually just worked against him because this Tapu Fini just kept surviving all of these Origin Pulses with the special defense boost and the recovery. And so definitely a tall order for Juan to figure out, how do I stop the Trick Room, but also account for the other mode that Stefan has just shown me that he has. Never tricked Trick Room that whole time in the set and didn't need it.
Yeah, he didn't need to have Trick Room because, he's shown to Juan that he has a Trick Room mode, and Juan has to respect that, and Juan led to try and counter that. So, realizing that had been countered, Stefan was like, okay, I'll just go with a hyper-offensive mode, and he just put damage out and stat boosts out. A couple of them didn't go as planned. Of course, Juan did read into those with the defense boost from the Max Heal Spike, but that was at the risk of you were losing out on your grass-type moves going into things. You're losing out on all these different things. Maybe Juan for a second forgot how grass types interact with Rage Powder and maybe thought, oh, I gotta go for the Max Steel Spike anyway to get a knockout into Amoongus. But, he's a good player. Maybe he knew the calcs as well. It's hard to tell in a situations because Amoongus does force players to go for these plays. We see Kyogre's Ashen coming out now, so more players being forced to going for that brute force damage in front of, again, Stefan's best friends for this matchup, the Amoongus and the Palkia.
Amoongus and Palkia is such a consistent lead into so many different things. And we're seeing Juan adjusting and going, I wound up just targeting into the Amoongus anyways to get rid of it. Maybe I don't need to lead Kartana in this matchup. And going back to that Zacian and saying, I really want to have this Dynamax later in the game, maybe not right away. And so we're going to see Palkia actually still having that option where it could go offensive or it could Trick Room. And there's just a whole lot of different modes Stefan could pick, but it's sort of all on this turn to pick exactly what that mode is. If you Dynamax, then you can't Trick Room for the next 3 turns. And Juan knows to play around that now, and so maybe it's a good gamble, maybe it isn't. And then you've also got the challenge of, it really does look like Juan's plan is KOing this Amoongus every single time here. That's what happened in both of the first 2 games. And so do you try to find some way that maybe you play in a different way around that Amoongus to sort of get something off this turn?
Yeah, Amoongus, is going to be, like I said, forcing those plays as we see Dynamax coming out from the Palkia. So it's going to be going big and it's going to be forcing as much damage as possible. Stefan realizing, hey, my damage is my best option. Let's go for that. Trick Room isn't needed. Amoongus could be in the back for Juan, which could be very scary. Behemoth Blade comes out. That's probably going into the Amoongus just to try and get as much damage down as possible. It does go into that Palkia though. It's doing a lot of damage even given the typing, just because of how powerful Zacian is. Water Spout coming out as well is going to do a bit of damage to Palkia. Amoongus is going to take out a lot better than it normally does. Max Quake coming through is going to do the damage and possibly get a knockout. It does. Zacian goes down. Kyogre is going to be doing less damage now because of the special defense boost. And I think from the speed interactions here, we might be seeing a Spore come out, which would be absolutely amazing.
Absolutely. We're going to see this Amoongus didn't go for Rage Powder, so it's a question what it did go for, and it is that Spore. So this Kyogre, fast asleep, not going to be able to do anything for sure for the next turn, and possibly up to 3 turns. A lot of momentum going on Stefan's side of the field, although you have to wonder, this Behemoth Blade going into the Palkia, does that mean that the Kartana can come in and threaten a whole lot of damage, potentially finish up that KO on Palkia, and Amoongus can't redirect that with Rage Powder?
Yeah, that is going to be scary because Palkia is at very low HP, so a good call there from Juan, just getting damage down. Kyogre being asleep as well just means, it's not doing damage. Could see a turn on Wake. We've seen it before in other tournaments, but, let's not wish bad or good luck on our player. So, it is one of those situations where the call has to be played. Amoongus can maybe go for a switch to get things going. The Turtonator would like to switch in on the hits that would come out from this Kartana. Tapu Fini, not so much, but that'll come down to whatever we see Stefan goes for, as he is slowly timing out, having to really think his turn through. He's getting to the wire As you see, it does unfortunately pass through, unless he did make it in just in time to see. And it seems the switch did not go off, so he must have timed out there, which is very unfortunate for Stefan. So to see where the moves go from that Amoonguss, and hopefully it goes into the right slot to make it so the game can go as fluid as it has been already.
Yeah, we're going to see Kartana going for this Dynamax. Going to be able to potentially pick up the KO on this Palkia. And yeah, the question is, Stefan didn't get to pivot that Amoonguss out, so what will be happening there? We do see the Max Overgrowth go out into that Palkia, potentially picking up a knockout. If not, it's going to bring things really close, and Palkia is now down. Kartana's going to get the Beast Boost. And this Amoonguss, no matter what it goes for, isn't really going to be able to do a whole lot. The Kyogre's already asleep. Amoonguss did his job last turn, and Kartana can't go to sleep. So a really unfortunate situation where this Amoonguss just isn't able to go for anything because of that timeout.
Yeah, Amoonguss isn't going to be doing much. If we see a Spore into that Kartana, it's going to be horrible. The Spore into either of these things really going to be horrible. We see it does go into the Kartana, unfortunately. So Pengy is probably kicking himself in the back of the leg, thinking, oh no, I've got to, bring myself back. Turtonator could come in. It doesn't like the Kyogre, but it likes that Kartana. Tapu Fini, the other way around, it doesn't like that Kartana, but it likes that Kyogre. So it is going to be scary. Turtonator is the option, though, for coming in. So, maybe Stefan knows what he can do in this matchup. Maybe he knows he can take a hit or two from the Kyogre, opting for that Burning Jealousy, just knowing that Kartana can likely get a stat boost this turn. But if Juan knows that he has he has that move, he can easily go for that Max Overgrowth just to kind of mitigate those stat boosts, or go for something that maybe drops the stats of the targets. Kartana doesn't really often have moves like that. He could be carrying a cheeky little Max Strike, but I doubt it will be, so it is going to be very scary.
Amoonguss switching out, getting that Regenerator boost that it wanted to get before, sending Tapu Fini in to take the hit instead, and we'll have to see what this Turtonator can do. It might be able to do, it's a really cool adjustment to see for that Dynamax Kartana, but it's going to depend a lot on how long this Kyogre happens to stay asleep.
Yeah, Kyogre staying asleep, in the end of the world. The Max Steel Spike going to Tapu Fini, it lives on the cusp of its red HP, but that probably isn't going to matter, going too far ahead. Of course, Turtonator now has the ability to get that burn guaranteed from Burning Jealousy. Kyogre staying asleep, very good for this Turtonator. The Jealousy comes out, does a nice bit of damage to that Kartana, given its 4 times weakness, but with a likely Assault Vest. And I know he can't, because the terrain changes that, so we're going to just see damage going out. So maybe a misplay, maybe a salty comp play from Stefan here, or maybe just hoping for damage. But, there's so many things that have gone wrong for Stefan these past couple of turns that maybe he's feeling a little bit behind on the times. So, Juan can maybe manipulate that and take advantage of it, but I'll have to see what they go for. If you see Stefan go for a defensive play this turn, Max Knuckle coming out, probably just guaranteeing that knockout on a Tapu Fini, getting that attack boost as well, meaning it's going to go through those defense boosts we're seeing from possible iron defense. But if Kyogre wakes up, that is going to be doing a lot of damage to the Turtonator, even with its dragon typing.
Yeah, we've even seen this, because of the Misty Train being set up, the Turtonator doesn't really have a way to slow down either of these Pokemon. So Kyogre does stay asleep. Turtonator might not be able to get the KO on this Kartana, because Rain is up. Burning Jealousy goes out just into Misty Terrain, and this Kartana now at 2 stages of boosted attack from that. And the only damage options from Stefan for the rest of this game being that Turtonator and that Amoonguss. Just sort of a heartbreaking turn of momentum because of that timeout, and because of needing to sort of then play defensively after that. There's not a whole lot of ways for Stefan to get back into this game.
Yeah, Stefan really has to play off maybe his Pollen Puffs. Kartana doesn't have the best special defense. It likely has an Assault Vest, and it can take hits well from this Kyogre. Of course, Kyogre has extra Ice Beam, the Sacred Sword coming out, going into the Turtonator, wanting to avoid those boosts. Water Spout coming out, though, is going to do a lot of damage into both these Pokemon. Amoonguss, even with a Grass type and a really bulky Pokemon, it's not going to like it in the rain. It does a nice chunk to it. I just see it as Pollen Puff is enough to get the knockout on Kartana. It's going to be very, very close. It goes in. It does just grab it with a critical hit that might have mattered, given the typing and given that Amoonguss don't often run special defensive and the special attacking investment. So it's coming down to the wire for both players. A timeout from Stefan and some really good plays from Juan are bringing it to a nice back and forth. Ping pong we mentioned that could be between both the teams and the players. As Amoonguss comes in, And this is going to be very scary because Amoonguss can redirect the Turtonator. It can't put the Turtonator to sleep, and it can't redirect the Amoonguss. And there's just so many different combinations of attacks that have come out now that could really change the game. Either player, I feel, could win, but I think it's going to be close. It's going to be to the wire.
Yeah, I think really interesting to see just how strong of an adjustment the Turtonator was for the set. It did manage to weather the storm of the Kartana, even though it didn't get to do as much as it wanted to. And it is in a good position against some of these Pokemon potentially. But anytime that you're staring down a Kyogre with your Turtonator, there's just like a really tough battle to try to figure out how to keep pace with all of the momentum.
Yeah, keeping the momentum going is what we are seeing as a protect from the Amoonguss to stop any hits going to it. The opposing Kyogre going for the Ice Beam into Amoonguss. And it goes down because it's not liking taking those. And the body press coming out from Turtonator into, it's got a nice defense stat, but Kyogre takes that very well. And it looks like it is going to come down to just, simple moves, maybe going for just Giga Drain plus Water Spout or Giga Drain plus Origin Pulse. Just two moves that will guarantee chip or at least a knockout on this Pokemon. Stefan, those unfortunate events has put him in a position where, this niche pick that, it's great to have broadcasted isn't doing what it likes to do. And we're going to see, Amoonguss go for the Rage Powder there. And then take this Water Spout on a Turtonator. It does live it, but at what cost really? Because it's just going to be redirection. Iron Defense, maybe just saying GG, she's putting a shield up saying, I'm taking a step back, going defensive, and letting the opponent take the win.
If Stefan had been able to take a little bit less damage from that Water Spout, or get some damage on the Kyogre so there wasn't as much threat, there was definitely an angle in here. Like with the leftovers recovery, there's a lot that Turtonator could potentially do. But staring things down now, where one more Water Spout will finish off the game, it's looking like congratulations to Juan and condolences to Stefan for the way that this match played out. But still some really brilliant plays throughout the earlier parts of this set.
Yeah, just amazing plays, like Stefan in game 2 switching it up, forcing Juan to, think completely differently, getting that win from a faster mode, a more offensive mode than what Trick Room normally is. Of course, Trick Room is very offensive when it plays, but, bringing out all these techs and bringing out all these changes just to prove that Stefan isn't a player to meddle with. Stefan, wants those wins. Stefan can get those wins. He's going for all the triple, double, everything protects. As Water Spout comes out, this is likely going to close the game. Meaning that Argentina will be going 2-0 up. So, a team, of course, that is a lot more well-known in Switzerland in terms of the international play. Taking that lead, Stefan, probably going to go back to the drawing board and think, okay, I tried to counter team. I know I can do it. I'm going to do it a bit differently going into the future. But condolences and very well done to both players. It was a great game to really close the stream up on.
Yeah, I think there was so much thought that went into the best of 3 here. In that first game, Juan getting just the exact right calls with the protects and everything to time out the Trick Room ending. There was a turn where the Amoonguss protected when if it had gone down, that could have totally flipped the match on its head. And then Stefan making that wonderful adjustment of Dynamaxing Palkia and being able to just do so much damage and burn through the turns of Dynamax that Juan had and bringing that up to 1-1. And then there was this clutch adjustment of the Turtonator coming on Stefan's side, but also going back to the Zacian and saving the Kartana in the back from Juan, made that third match really close. And you could see just how intensely these players were thinking about this game, that Stefan was running right up to the edge of the time, trying to figure out like what's the best way to win this game, because both of these players are really, really strong, and they gave us a wonderful match.
They did give us a wonderful match, and that, of course, isn't the only wonderful match we're going to be seeing, throughout this whole weekend, because we have got a few more matches lined up, which you will be seeing on your screens in any second now. And a lot of big players from across the world are being put on there. We have Bass there against Suk. We have Bartosz against Marco. We have Johan Christian Hoff against Sohaib Mufti. We have Matt Maynard against Diego Gutierrez. A lot of these players, a few well-known players who have played for a while, and a few that have really popped off this season. I'm quite excited to see how Matt Maynard does. I've spent a bit of time with him, going to UK regionals, going to all different tournaments, and he's been really good time to spend time with, and he's really, really shown himself to be a prominent VGC player. And it's great to have him broadcast. And all these other players, they have their experience of VGC, and they have, their time, to show off what they can do on this Victory World Cup stream.
Absolutely. A whole host of really exciting matches for you. I'm starting tomorrow at 4. Do not forget, please, to follow all of the socials. You're watching us on Twitch right now, presumably. Make sure you check that out. make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel so you can see these videos uploaded there. We have a Discord as well as Twitter where you can follow us. And of course, there's the website worldcupvgc.com that has a whole lot of information about how this tournament is progressing.
Yep, and you can always remember to tweet at either us or our wonderful sponsors, GT Tour, Metafire, Argato, either live or behind the scenes, just to say, hey, I like those two casters that are on the screen right now, or hey, I like this play. And I believe we have got a giveaway going on right now where you can win a custom stream deck, just by retweeting and tagging friends, which is a very good deal for a stream deck, given, if you want to get into streaming or be like us, be a caster, that'll be very good for your future.
That's all from us for this particular week. Make sure to check in next week as we jump in with more exciting matches for y'all. And thank you very much for watching today. That's all from us. Have a good rest of your day.